and welcome back to yet another episode of Mom Q&A with Mamas Uncut, where we talk about motherhood, parenting, relationships, and so much more based off of the questions you send us anonymously. Again, we got Mindy and Lisa. You guys ready to get started?
Yep.
Yep.
All right, let's do this. I'm going to call them mom and caregiver. So, a mom I know just lost a child, and someone I also know is the caregiver of the two other children this mom has. As when the baby came home from a stay in the hospital, the baby came home as a hospice baby. So, to help out, the caregiver has had the children since the baby came home. Well, now that the baby has passed on, the caregiver has been taking care of the two children mentioned and has been well before the mom had the hospice baby, as she would drop them off with the caregiver to go party or do whatever else she wanted. Well, being as though the hospice baby has passed, the caregiver is still the one taking care of the two living children. I know everyone grieves differently, but the mom is now going out of state to clear her mind and leaving her two children she still has with the caregiver to care for them until she gets back. In my opinion, the situation is unfair to the caregiver, and I feel like now more than ever, the mom would want the children surrounding her during this time. I think the mom should be ready to take the kids back and be the one to care for them at this point. Am I wrong to think that, or what?
I mean, it's not wrong to think that, but she's outside the situation. So
Right.
it's kind of hard to see what's going on when if in fact she's not the caregiver. She could have written this as the caregiver, possibly to distance herself from the situation. Maybe, we don't know this. But I'd say that's the caregiver's conversation to have with the mom. So
Totally.
if she's close to the situation, the only thing she can do is tell the caregiver. If the caregiver is feeling like used maybe or upset about the situation, the caregiver needs to talk to the mom. That being said, I mean, it's hard to put a bow on grieving, right? And to say like this is done. It sounds like there's a history of this from what she's mentioning, but I'm willing to give the mom a little bit of grace in this situation because it's very, very difficult for her, I'm sure. So, but she's not in the situation, so there's not much she can actually do about it if she is not the caregiver.
Yeah, totally agree. Like, on some level, there's a kind of mind your own business element to that. And to the extent that she knows the mom who has lost the child, the best you can do is support that mom.
Mm-hmm.
And, but if the caregiver, if this is surfacing because the caregiver has expressed some concern or frustration about taking care of the baby, or the children, that is absolutely the place of the caregiver to say, hey, look, I'm happy to help out, but I'm not the mom.
Yeah, I agree with everything you guys are saying. And on top of that, if the caregiver isn't complaining and this is just something that this person is seeing from the outside looking in, I think they also have to understand that losing a child is hard, and maybe this person never had to go through that. And this caregiver is a blessing to this mom, because there's so many parents who do lose children and they don't have anyone to help. And so now they have to pretend like they're okay for their other kids. This way, this mom gets to kind of grieve in her own way and doesn't have to bring her two other children into it. So I think, if the caregiver isn't complaining and you're just kind of looking at it from your own point of view, kind of see it from that angle too. Like she needs a chance to, feel what she needs to feel, because I can't imagine anything harder than losing a child.
Oh God, absolutely not.
Well, and I think it's weird with grief. A lot of people take what they feel about grief and what they know and understand about grief, and they apply it to other people like that's how they should act. Yeah. And that's almost never the case. Even within like families, close-knit people, you lose the same person and they can react totally differently. So
everybody processes grief totally differently.
Yeah.
Right. And like I have been berated and chastised by my own family for how I process grief, because like I'll be the person who can be in the very beginning like I look at like somebody dies, for example, and I'm like, all right, all these things need to get done, and I'll be the person to just crank out the work, make everything happen. And then when it's done, I allow myself to break down and have a total meltdown. But in the process where I'm like cranking and can be unemotional and detached and be the person who just gets the work done so that everyone else can follow their own grieving process, I get named as somebody who's unattached and who is uncaring and all these things. And that's actually not true. Yeah. I just can't allow myself to break down, and I often do it in private, until the work has been done. And then I do what I need to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
yeah, it just goes to show that like there's no one way things can be handled. There's so many different ways. Like I get like emotionless. Like I get very like, I need a process, and my process is like, I look like a blank slate, like nothing is going on, and like take that as like what is happening. But yeah, for me, I'm just like, I need to be by myself in a corner for as long as it takes, because I can't process when like 1,000 people are like doing things around me. But yeah, so again, there's no one way of doing it. And I think that this person just needs to understand that. Let them to deal with it and just go on and be supportive in any way that you can.
Well, and in general, stuffing feelings is an underrated quality.
True.
They have to surface at some point, which I think is good that you pointed out.
Yeah.
But yes.
All right. Well, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week.